Hey, 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 y'all. What is going on? Life coaches in the building once again with a small message of encouragement and some things to think about. Today, I was just thinking about seasons of life and how they change. My mind is one that's always thinking, some philosophical type stuff. I enjoy conversation that requires me to think and put things in perspective and also see things from other folks' perspective. So today we're going to talk about seasons and whether you are watching this today, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, I can promise you this information is evergreen. You will always, always, always be going through some type of change in your life. You're either going through it, you're just getting done with it, or you're getting ready to go through it. It's kind of like how the old church folks say about the storm. You're either headed into a storm, you're in the midst of a storm, or you're coming out of a storm. And the same can be said for the seasons of life. We go through life um, adjusting and adapting to change. And sometimes it can be brutal depending on what the change is. And I don't think that that will ever change. So I'm not minimalizing minimizing anything that people are going through or any changes that people face in life. But there are a subset of people who just don't think that things will ever change. Things should remain the way they are. Things will always be the same. And I'm speaking more so on big life events. For instance, this background here is perfect for me to give an example because currently in this season of my life, my favorite season is summer. And it used to be fall. The difference is where I was living at the time. So I was living in Michigan. I lived in Michigan for about 16 years, I think. And when I got to Michigan, my favorite season was summer because I moved there from the South. So I was used to the warm weather, wearing tank tops, feet in the sand sort of thing. And then I got to Michigan and had to adjust to the weather. And then my new favorite season became fall because that's what the Midwest celebrates really well. I think they do a good job of celebrating fall and hyping up these trails where the leaves turn colors and cider mills. If you have families or you want to go on little dates, there's a cider mill or petting zoo around every corner. And these types of locations flourish during the fall. So there's no shortage of stuff to do in the fall. However, I recently moved back to the South, and now my favorite season is summer again. So are the changes of life. I often like to say that the pendulum will always swing. One moment you're in a season of life that you really, really enjoy and you are thriving and flourishing. In the next moment, you can find yourself in a season of life that is really tough to navigate and is really putting you through some mental challenges. And it seems like there probably is not going to be a way out, which we know in the mental wellness space is just the negative thinking in your brain sort of overwhelming those positive things that you know to be true for yourself. So I just want to encourage you to expect change and to be prepared for it when it arrives. And what I mean by preparation is not necessarily having a solution, but just be in a mind space that you know, okay, this is something different. This change is coming, and I need to be able to navigate this with grace, with dignity, and come out on the other end with myself intact. So, what do I need to do to get through this? And that's speaking on if it is a change that is unfavorable. In the moment, sometimes things can seem unfavorable, but once you are a ways out from it, you look back and realize, hey, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Maybe you lose a job, and in the moment, it's devastating because you have bills to pay. You have people who are depending on you for food, clothing, shelter, the bare necessities. So it's devastating in the moment. But as you get farther and farther away from that devastating moment when you find out you lost your job, doors begin to open, and you now see why you had to lose that job in order to acquire things that are for you. That's just an example, but sometimes things are instant good change, and it doesn't really take that long to adjust because we love good things to happen. If it's a good change, oh yes, you go to the gas station, you go to the counter and say, hey, run me an easy pick for this 2.5 billion lottery that's going to run tonight. And lo and behold, you win. That's a no-brainer. That's that good change. We're talking about not being caught off guard in those seasons of loneliness, those seasons where things are just moving around us at breakneck speed, where we think we are caught in the middle of a tornado and everywhere you look, things are flying around and it looks like there's no way out. So I just want to give you some hope today and let you know that seasons of life are sort of like reading a book. Each chapter of a book brings something new. Some books, the chapters are related to the chapter before. Some, the plot twists and it goes in a completely different direction. And you're like, man, what's happening here? The difference is the chapters in a book are defined already. So you can look ahead in the book and say, hey, today I'm going to read chapters 2 and 3. Each chapter is 15 pages. The seasons of life don't move like that. We can never tell when it's going to be over and how long they're going to last. And then once we are coming up to a season of change, there's also uncertainty in how long the transition from one season to the next is going to be. The transition can be very quick. The transition can be painstakingly slow. And some of that depends on how quick we are to accept the change, sorry, and how quick we are to move through that. So once you accept it, you can say, okay, this is really happening. And then what are the steps that we're going to put in place to get through it? Use your resources, use support groups, use trusted friends and family, which I hope that we are all privileged to have in our corner. Use mental wellness resources. Get out and do some things that are going to lift your spirits when you're feeling down. Take care of you first so that you can show up in the world as the person you want to be, even while you're going through the change. You may not be there 100%. You may not even be the person you want to show up as 70% of the time. The difference is you're actually making an attempt to do it, and each day it gets better and better and better. That's all I have for today. I wish you nothing but the best, and may your will to get through your seasons with grace and dignity be greater than the will to sit and suffer in silence. Life Coach is leaving the building. Have an amazing day. Toodles.